Hi, this is Rob Harris, and I'm here with Sandra Sepulveda, and this is What's Next Nashville. A group of who rise in. Sandra, you're the youngest city council member, serving city council member in Nashville.
Yes.
What inspired you to serve?
I think it's a culmination of several different things. So the district I represent now, I've lived there since I was 5. So it's pretty much home to me, and my constituents have been neighbors for a very long time. So I wanted someone who is going to understand the community, the district, and fight for them. We haven't had a representation that also looked like us ever. So I wanted to get out there and, represent my community.
Okay. So I know that you're a member of Emerge.
Yes.
And I wanted to have you kind of explain how Emerge factored into your ability to run, or your knowledge of political campaigning.
Yeah, so I was one of the people that went through the Emerge training, which is, for people that don't know Emerge, it's a group that trains women how to vote, how to run for office. And so I went through one of their cohorts. I had worked in politics before, so a lot of it was things that I had already learned, but it was good to be in a community setting with women who were thinking about doing the same thing, and building those relationships, and just getting other people's experience of what they had gone through.
Okay. So you're one of the loudest voices for the Hispanic community in Nashville, which is great. What type of services would you like to see, and how would you like for the community to be serviced or represented in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I have several notes, but for the most part, there are some basic needs that aren't met, right? So we finally have a translator at the council meetings for public hearing, and we have captions on the screen for those who attend and anyone watching online. But that's only for council. We don't have it for other meetings and other boards. Planning Commission, that would be one of the more important boards that needs a translator there, or screens with captions on it. Some of our basic information that we send out to the community, letting them know what's going on, isn't translated, right? And we need to start changing that. I could do the basics on my newsletter, and I do. I translate my newsletter, letting people know what's going on. But I'm just one person. I can't be doing that for everything, right? So those basic needs need to be met. We need to foster stronger relationship with our community in general and our business owners. Latinos, we open businesses, I think, at 3 times the national average. So, we need to be tapped into, and we need to be courted as well, and we need someone to fight for us. So, like I said, I'm just one person, but we still have a lot of work to do.
So I'd like to say that, Sandra, you're a superhero. I can remember when I worked in Mayor Cooper's office as a city council liaison, you were taking on issues of criminalization of innocent people, and a lot of other issues that went outside of the scope of your duties because of you being the only Latina on the council. What would you like to see in the way of diversity in terms of the city in both electing people and also just making a place for individuals in higher levels of city government?
Yeah, I mean, it has been the honor of a lifetime serving on council, right? But it was so difficult coming on, being the only Latina, And not just that, at that point there were not many elected Latinos across the state, right? So the fact that I'm still the highest ranking Latino in the whole state of Tennessee is disheartening. There's only 3 of us in the entire state now. So we do get all the calls, and I end up getting the calls for here in our county and surrounding counties. And like I said, it's not just, I'm doing the work of an at-large member and a district member, right? I still have a district that I have to work for and help, and there's still many things I have to do. So I would love to see more Latinx elected officials, but I would also like to see more representation on boards and commissions. I know that the number of Latinos that we have on boards and commissions aren't representative of what our population is. I would like to see more Latinx people in our metro departments, right? When I look at those numbers as well, we are not representative of what the city looks like. And if we are out there working for the city, we need to look like the city. It is one thing for a minority person to be helping other minority groups outside of their community, right? But having someone with lived experience is something that is desperately needed, because there are certain things that you cannot explain to people or they won't know what to look out for. So we have to have more representation.
So not only are you the only Latina, but you're also the youngest person. I want you to talk about the experience of being the youngest city council member, because that's an additional obstacle to getting your message across.
It's an added obstacle, and it's also been fun in a sense, right? So it depends. The situation depends. My colleagues, a lot of them tell me that I am a old soul. I'm like an old person inside, stuck in a young person's body. They tell me I would never be doing this at your age. I wasn't doing this at your age. I'm like, well, you know. But I have gotten them out of their shell a little bit, getting them to experience some things that, you know, young people do. I make them do TikToks. I don't know why they keep saying yes to me, but they do. And I think it's a great way to get younger people.
I've seen some of those.
Yes, I think it's a great way to get younger people involved and them to be known to the next generation. But also in some cases, for example, I tend to dress older than what I am when I have community meetings, because I need them to understand that, you know, I'm representing them, I'm serious about what I'm doing, and I'm knowledgeable. If I dress how I usually dress outside of council, they're going to be like, well, who is this? I cover my tattoo. You know, I have to take certain steps to be accepted in a room, and that's just the reality of it. I would like that not to be the reality, but I know in certain situations I have to go above and beyond and be better, because I already have several things going against me, right? I'm young, I'm a woman, and I'm a brown woman. So I have to make people look past all of these things.
What are the 3 most important initiatives that you've been able to pass for your particular district? And, you know, if you want to speak about things that you've done citywide.
Yeah, so we were one of the only districts without a library, community center, or a park. So we finally were able to get a park. And in such a dense, high immigrant, high minority district, you need somewhere safe and free where families could go. So it was one of the more top of the list things that I wanted to accomplish, and we finally got it approved. Now we're doing the site plan for it. We're having the community come out and tell us what they want to see. So that's one of the proudest things that we've been able to accomplish for the district. We passed the Do Better bill, although the state did come in and kind of did away with a lot of it. But construction is one of the most dangerous things you could work in the city of Nashville. We're one of the most dangerous cities when it comes to the South. And so making sure that we didn't partner with bad contractors, that a lot of wage theft was going on, a lot of safety issues were going on. There was a 16-year-old that fell from a building and died, right? So we were able to pass that. The state did come in and did away with it, but we were able to keep certain things in place, like the procurement board. We were able to have one person who was nominated by the council on the procurement board. We were able to have a labor person on the board as well, which I think still goes a long way. Gradual steps, but we were able to do that. And now what I'm working on is some legislation that reworks the way we appoint boards and commissions, right? So for the most part, the mayor's office nominates people, the council confirms. We have a couple of seats that we nominate here and there. Well, I went in along with some of the minority caucus, and we looked at which boards we are able to influence. Some of them are by charter that we can't really change, but we took a certain number of them and we said, okay, we're gonna have 3 nominations from the council instead of the mayor's office. And we did that because we wanted better representation and we wanted more community voices, right? People that wouldn't have a chance to participate in this setting, who wouldn't get their foot in the door, we're able to know who's on the ground, whose voice would be essential for the city to hear from. So, yeah.
So we've talked about your successes, but what are some of the things that have disappointed you about the way that things, the legislation or any part of the legislative process in the city of Nashville?
Yeah, I guess I think the biggest one would be that people who have been in power for a long time or have learned the legislative process through certain people put up barriers and all of these processes to kind of quiet those new voices, right? So they'll say, this is how things are done, or we've never done things this way, or did you talk to this person first? And many times they say that to you because they don't want you to accomplish what you want to accomplish. And I wish that we would understand that our current council body looks very different from past council bodies, and that's for a reason, because the city is in a different place. And we can't keep going back to the way things used to be. Our city will not advance that way. And that has been really one of the more disappointing and hard parts of this job.
So, right before we got on camera, there was a kind of discussion about what the possible outcomes of the state potential legislation would be on the council.
Yep.
Could you talk to people about that and what it would look like to your understanding?
Yeah, I mean, there are certain state legislators who are toying with the idea of bringing the number of council members down and having bigger districts, really. There are certain consequences that happen with this, right? So in high dense minority districts, if all those council members get lumped together, they would be basically running against each other. So our diversity would go down. But also, Nashville, Davidson County is a pretty progressive place. I just imagine it would still be progressive, and it might actually give a stronger footing for some of those council members, right? Where they hold more power than having to deal with 40 council members at this point, right? So I don't know what the state is thinking, but I know that for minority communities in general, this would probably be a very hard situation to deal with.
And if you wanted to talk about a couple of things that you want to see in the future, or anything that you really want to discuss with the people before we close?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things I want to see in the future. I want better transit. I want more affordable housing, and those things are tied into each other, right? And I want more representation. Until we start building our cities with our residents in mind instead of cars and other sort of things, then we're not gonna get very far. And I think we're starting to finally see a push for that. There are also some basic things that we just need. We just need sidewalks and better roads. The basics is what it all comes down to. Those are just some of the things I'd like to see.
Would you tell me a little bit about the way that your district is constructed, or the various?
Yeah, so my district's borders are, it goes from Nolensville, Harding, to Tusculum Road, all the way to Interstate 24. So it's like a box. The plurality of my voters are Latinx. I have the highest percentage of Latino people in the city compared to the rest of the districts, and it is majority minority, with a good chunk of it, I think almost 20% living at or below the poverty line.
Well, thank you so much for being with us here today. I appreciate your conversation, and I also appreciate you as an individual and the way that you have taken hold of this community and been the voice for an underserved community of people. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So.